Hello and welcome to Just Interesting, the podcast where nothing is fascinating, nothing is boring, everything is just interesting. With me, Robin, today are Martin.
I felt like you're doing a little bit of a disservice saying nothing is fascinating. Maybe it's a little bit interesting, right?
That's Martin's position. And
Alex.
Hey guys, how's it going? You alright?
All right, thank you. How are you, Alex?
Not too bad. As you can see, we have relocated. Obviously, you can see that. You came here to the relocation.
If you're watching us on YouTube, we are no longer in the bunker or the brick wall place that we were formerly at.
Yes.
On our previous episodes, we are in a new place with a new brick wall.
Which is nearly as good as the other one.
Always better. It's better. Yeah. It's better, definitely better.
The audio quality probably isn't as good.
We have a new microphone. You may be able to detect that.
Don't bring people's attention to it.
Yeah, I'll just say.
I'm sure it's just
Hopefully
as good.
it's okay.
This is good. We're more unified on this one. Instead of 3 separate microphones, we now have one microphone. So we are all one with the microphone.
Yes.
And we will not be talking over each other during this episode, is the challenge.
We're going to do our best to speak.
It's already good.
Yes. Yes.
Well, have you learned anything interesting this week?
No, nothing.
No, nothing. Okay.
Nothing too interesting. But yeah, I have learnt. Did you know the movie Shrek?
Yeah.
Heard of it.
Shrek is
a
love.
Shrek fact.
Shrek is life.
Exactly. Shrek originally had a thick Canadian accent that was performed by actor Mike Myers.
Okay.
Yes.
However, after animation had begun and the dialogue was almost finished, Myers decided the character would be better portrayed with a Scottish accent. This meant the film had to be reanimated and cost over $4 million to reanimate. Because,
Wow.
yeah. But can you imagine Shrek with a Canadian accent?
That is weird.
Originally, it wasn't even Mike Myers, was it?
No, it
Shrek.
was Chris Farley.
Yeah.
And he didn't have a Scottish accent, did he? Because
No, he's very American, in fact.
Yes.
But he died, before he finished recording.
Mm-hmm.
So that must have cost a lot as well, because you paid Chris Farley and then you have to pay Mike Myers.
Yeah. I don't know how much Chris Farley actually did, because if he had nearly didn't finished it, they might have just gone with it, right?
That's true. Although the sequels might have been awkward without him.
But I think there is a scene online that you can see that he did.
Oh, really?
And it's a very different kind of Shrek. I think he was going for a more human, emotional Shrek.
Was there Shrek as well? That it was kind of seen as a lower project within DreamWorks at the time, wasn't it? It was people working on the Prince of Egypt, and it was like, if you mess up on the Prince of Egypt, then you're going to have to go and do Shrek. It was like it was a running joke in the studio.
Wow.
That it was definitely beneath some of the animators. Whereas,
exactly.
in fact, it's, of course, been a great success.
It's the thing that built DreamWorks, really, isn't it? Shrek. Also, what's a thick Canadian accent sound like? As in, like, French Canadian? Or,
I had a moment there, I was going to try and mimic it, and I was like, nah.
There's literally,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because Mike Myers is Canadian, so...
Is it just
It's just his accent, yeah. Who knows?
I was just trying to emphasise his accent, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good fact. Martin, what have you learned this week?
Well, I learned about the only plane that was allowed to fly on 9/11 after the terrible tragedy.
Yeah.
So, of course, everything was grounded. All the planes were grounded on that day after the tragedy happened. But there was one flight that wasn't grounded, and basically there was a guy called Lawrence Van Sertima, who was a snake handler, and he'd been handling snakes. Not one snakes for 40 years. and he got his first snake bite from a taipan snake, one of the most deadly snakes in the world, on the day of 9/11.
Oh, man.
Okay?
Right.
And so, very, very dangerous snake. And, I mean, what do you imagine that they would be having to fly to him after being bitten by a snake?
A helicopter to take him to the hospital?
Well, no. In fact, he wasn't even able to go in an ambulance. They needed it right there and then.
Whoa.
And it was very unlikely that he'd be able to fly. What they were actually flying into him was an antivenom for the snake bite. And so the problem was that there are only 2 of these antivenoms existed in the whole of the United States. One was in New York, no flights out in New York, and the other was in San Diego.
Whoa.
And so they flew this antivenom from San Diego and just got it to him just in time. And he managed to recover. But that was one of the only flights that flew in America that day.
That's crazy.
After the attacks.
Because
he would have died.
If there's only 2 examples of an antivenom in your country, is it
this
not wiser?
particular one,
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But if you know that there's snake's venom, the antivenom for that snake, there's a very limited supply in your country. Is it not
Yeah.
wiser to just avoid handling those snakes?
Well, yeah, but I guess he
Or
was
like, can't you take their, I don't know, all their poison out? What's it called?
Venom.
Defang them.
Defang them, maybe.
Defang them.
yeah.
I guess that's a bit cruel.
That must be a
Yeah.
weird conversation. Like, the end of the day, someone's like, his neighbour is like, how was your day? He was like, oh, it's rubbish.
And they're like,
thing is,
yeah,
he
I totally get that. It's one of the worst days in American history, if not
Yeah.
the worst.
He didn't find out about what
It's like
happened.
different reasons, but yeah.
different
Well, he didn't find out what happened with the Twin Towers and
Until,
in the Pentagon until a couple of days later when he recovered.
man.
He had no idea about it because, of course, he was in hospital.
Yeah.
So he was based in Miami and they had to
Weird.
fly down. So yeah, one of the only flights on that day.
It's quite nice, though, that not the irony, sorry, the fact that the only flight allowed to fly was to save somebody's
Yes.
life. That's a nice thing.
Yeah, all things considered. Yeah.
And it's nice that they actually were able to do that and they didn't just... You could imagine in that situation everyone was panicking and not knowing what to
Yeah.
do. They could have just said, no, sorry, we can't do anything.
Yeah.
We've got
Because
bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
But they still
Yeah.
managed to
I
do
mean,
that.
this plane was escorted by 2 fighter jets as well to get the Venom to the anti-Venom to him.
Gosh.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was quite a big ordeal, but of course they weren't taking any risks.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow, that's fascinating. Hopefully
an
mine can live up
interesting
to it.
fact,
Mine's much less interesting. It's another film-related fact, but this week I learned that of the 46 films in the world that have grossed over $1 billion at the box office,
46 now.
46 have done it now, yeah.
How many Marvel?
Not that many, actually. A couple of Avengers. Obviously, of those 46 films, unadjusted for inflation, only 2 of them have won Oscars for acting.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying
Are
to
we
work
trying
it
to-
out.
are we trying to
Yeah,
guess?
that's what I'm about to tell you, but you can guess if
Okay.
you like. One was very recent, literally just did it.
Joker.
Joker, yeah.
Oh, right, yeah, that makes
And?
sense.
Gone with the Wind.
No,
Titanic.
no,
No, an Oscar for acting.
no, it didn't. It got nominated,
Yeah,
but it
that's
didn't
what I
win.
was thinking.
The only other winner is The Dark Knight.
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Okay, yeah.
So 2 Jokers.
2 Jokers, yeah.
Wow.
So, you
That's
know,
good. That's interesting.
here's the trick, guys. If we want to make $1 billion grossing, acting, Oscar-winning film, we just need to wait 9 years, make a Joker film.
How can we make Joker, but even more dark and gritty? Even more dark and gritty.
This film is in black and white.
I haven't actually seen Joker. But it's true that it seems to be a character that is very not easy to act well, but it's a character that allows you to act
Yeah.
well within that role, right? It seems to be.
Yes, it's that
think
juicy
about-
role. And when you think about it, the only actors to have played Joker on the big screen are all Oscar winners. Jared Leto won an Oscar for, what was it, Dallas Buyers Club. Jack Nicholson played Joker, had won
Yeah.
2 or 3 Oscars by that point.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
It's true.
crazy fact.
Does
Maybe
Heath
I'll
Ledger,
take
did
Joker.
Heath Ledger win for Brokeback Mountain?
He didn't. He'd been nominated.
Right.
But he's the only one. Actually, no, Joaquin Phoenix hadn't won, had he? He'd been nominated, but hadn't won. But now they both win.
Yeah.
That's the trick.
Cool.
All winners.
Yeah.
That's a good fact.
Another tip for Oscar hopefuls: if you've already won an Oscar, don't play the Joker because you're not going to win. But it
Yeah.
could be
Yes.
your role to win an Oscar.
Yeah.
So-
Do you think that playing a movie villain or an evil character in a film is more likely to win you an Oscar or at least get recognition for playing it well? Because it's easier to be like
Yeah.
kind of evil, right? Than
There's always
Yeah,
like
maybe, yeah.
they're always the characters that actors want to play, right? Traditionally, like they're the more interesting, more juicy characters.
in general, they tend to have better development, right, of the character, unless they're like just a villain that wants to take over the world for no discernible reason. Which there's enough of those.
Yeah.
It tends to be the backstory of why they became evil.
Yeah.
It tends to have a nice arc to it that allows them to be like a more complex character than just a goodie.
I think that's it, isn't it? You can make a villain complex and relatable, and that's always surprising. Whereas a hero has to be those things anyway. So, like Christoph Waltz in *Inglourious Bastards*, you know, he won
Yes.
the Oscar for that. He plays the villain, but what was interesting about his character was how kind of deep he was and how relatable he was. And he
He
wasn't.
was relatable. You found him relatable.
Well, no, as in they would,
That opening scene was incredibly relatable.
the film went out of its way to kind of explain his worldview, you know, kind of thing. And then There Will Be Blood with Daniel Day-Lewis as Daniel Plainview, big villain.
Good film.
Yeah, great film, great performance. So you're right. I think
Very different
villains,
kind
you
of
can
villain.
do stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, very different. A modern villain
Yes.
of capitalist villain.
Indeed.
So, shall we look at our weird news?
Yes.
The week in weird.
We need like a segue there. I feel.
We do,
need
yeah.
some kind of animation or something. I don't know.
Just a giraffe screaming.
Yeah.
Has to be something really, really weird.
There you go.
A clip from, what was it called? Giraffe on horseback?
What?
Giraffes on horseback? Was it that old movie that was never made, wasn't it? Like really weird. Don't worry.
No idea what you're talking about.
Just type in giraffes on horseback at some point. It was like a movie from like the 1930s that was bizarre, and it was never actually ended up being made. But yeah,
it would have been difficult to get the giraffes on horses. Maybe
I don't think it was a literal.
Oh.
I don't think they would have tried it. They might have tried it.
Well, any of you listening to us, if you've heard about this film and know anything about it, then please comment below on YouTube or send us a message on Twitter. I'm at Alltime Robin.
I'm at Alex Brown ATC.
At Alltime Martin.
Or better still, contact the Just Interesting page, which is
at J Interesting YT.
Thank you. At J Interesting YT on Twitter.
Catchy.
Yes. Catchy. Look, if you want to change it, we can change it. It's fine.
No, it's good. I just forget which one's like. Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. I made a mistake. It's not giraffes on horseback. It's giraffes on horseback salad.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Written in 1937 by Salvador Dali. Anyway, enough of that.
Fair enough.
What's your news of the week, Alex?
Well, this actually came out just several days ago.
Yeah, it's just derailed so soon.
So my news story came out a few days ago, and I wondered what you guys thought of this. So a Cambridge University don was apparently writing erotic fiction about some of his students.
No, don't do it.
Yeah. So Dr. Peter Hutchinson quit teaching at Trinity Hall in 2015 following an internal investigation into his conduct. It's emerged that he self-published a raunchy book centered around a university in the same year. And he said the book offered a progressive view of women. That was his kind of take on it. Yeah, but he apparently agreed to stop teaching in 2015 after facing complaints of inappropriate comments from 10 students.
Well, that's probably in some ways worse. I mean, it's different because often you think of that kind of a teacher-student, and that is the case. It's a teacher and a student.
Yeah.
It is different from having a teacher and a student at school, of course, because of the reasons with age and responsibility, etc. But still, it's a dynamic you don't want to have when you're either a lot, I don't know, in that position of responsibility and responsible for grades that people. It's just a bit, isn't it?
Yeah. So, would you like to hear a bit? Would you like to hear a bit about the
Probably
book?
not.
Well, I'm going to tell you anyway.
About the book, not an excerpt
about
from
the
the
book.
book.
Not an excerpt.
Okay.
But it's called First Time, Ooh La La.
Ooh la la.
He published it under the name Barry Abel, so he didn't use his real name.
Barry Abel.
The book tells the story of an innocent first-year student called Peter at a fictitious Oxford college. He's found guilty of alleged sexual impropriety after a series of erotic adventures. Most of the women students in the book are members of a college sex club called the Virgins and must sleep with a man or senior academic each week to remain in the group. So, progressive view of women.
Also doesn't make sense. Sleeping with a man each week, how can it be called the Virgins?
I think it's an ironic name.
I imagine so.
Yeah.
I'd hope so.
There's also called First Time. Whose first time is this referring to?
Yeah.
Maybe his first time writing an erotic novel. Oh dear.
So it's I mean, his kind of defense is that the characters are like changed completely, like they're not reflective of any of his students, and he published it under a different name.
Barry Abel.
Barry Abel.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird though.
It's just creepy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's creepy. Yes, and the argument is he's thinking about his students in that way and writing about it, which suggests that it's not. Yeah, anything could happen in the one-to-ones, because in Cambridge and Oxford they have those. They call them supervisions in Cambridge, don't they? And then they call them tutorials in Oxford.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah, we have those one-to-one sessions.
Yeah.
Which could definitely get nasty.
Yeah.
Plausibly, potentially could get nasty in this scenario. I'm not saying they get nasty anyway.
You okay, Robin? Do you want to say anything you want to say?
No.
But
if I'd be so lucky. Yeah.
He basically said it needs to be emphasised that an author rarely thinks the same way as the main character. So that's his kind of you know, it's not my opinions. It's the main character. He's the dirty one.
What's the main character called? Mr. Abel.
It's Peter, isn't it?
Peter.
Is that his name?
Of course it is.
His name's Peter Hutchinson. Was that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This isn't looking good, Peter. Should I call you Barry? Oh dear, that's not good.
That is awful.
Yeah.
That is bad.
So a bit, yeah, it turned a
But
bit dark there.
Should it destroy his career, or should they be like, okay, just stop doing that? Like, is that it isn't good? Of course, it isn't good, but his career and reputation's now properly ruined, and people probably think of him as like a quasi sex offender.
Yeah.
Whereas, in fact, he wasn't doing anything illegal. It was
Yeah.
just possibly weird and
a bit frowned
immoral.
upon.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
It's an interesting one. It's a
Yeah.
bit of a.
I don't know. What
not
do you
sure.
think?
What do you guys think?
Yeah, please let us know.
But yeah, that was my weird news story of the week. What have you guys got?
So I've got a news story about a woman who underwent a surgery on her brain,
Oh.
and to remove a tumour in her brain. Unfortunately, she had this, and she was very, very concerned during the surgery about losing her ability to play a musical instrument that she played. She played the violin since she was age 10. She's now 53, so played it for over 40 years.
Wow.
I imagine was quite good. And so she did something rather unusual. She asked the surgeon whether she could play the violin during the surgery to make sure that she didn't lose the ability to play.
That freaks me out.
And so she
me out
did.
too much.
This is what she did.
What?
She was playing it so she was conscious, and she played the violin during the surgery.
Was that a bit distracting for the
I
surgeon?
imagine it probably would. Plus, there's nothing you can do about it. If he cuts up part of your brain, she stopped.
Yeah.
Well,
I was just about to say,
what
like,
do you do then?
it might be a useful guide.
Back.
It's a useful guide
the
to the
brain back
surgeon, right? Because suddenly her playing is just starting off with this beautiful sonata, and it just kind of goes all like, and he's like, okay.
His hand's shaking.
But she doesn't realise. She's like, does it still sound good? And it's like, yep.
Still good.
Very, very good.
Still
Very
great.
good. Well, it's just moving her brain. It's just changing the notes she's playing.
I thought you'd be like, I'm surprised. I don't know enough about brain surgery, but if she was awake during
Yeah.
a brain surgery and awake enough to play the violin,
Yeah.
surely that would be incredibly painful to undergo brain surgery whilst conscious.
This is what I was thinking, but there's a video of it. Do you want-
I'm
wow.
actually alright. I don't want to
Yeah.
see that.
Here we go. I mean,
Is that head, shoulders, knees, and toes?
I think it might have been. I'm playing for 40 years, and this is what you've learned. Let's be honest, doesn't sound great. But then
Doesn't
she is
sound
undergoing
great.
brain surgery, and she can still. It's about the movement of her hands.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so she's obviously sedated, surely, in some way, right?
Do we
Some kind
know?
of sedation, anesthesia.
Sorry, do we know if the brain surgery was successful?
Successful. They removed 90% of the tumour, which
Wow.
was successful. Oh, God, I'm actually playing again. and so she can still play the violin, and
that's
just
great.
had over 90% of this tumour removed, which is
That's
quite amazing.
fantastic.
Is that the first time anyone's ever played a musical instrument while undergoing brain surgery?
I
Must
imagine
be.
so.
Must be. Yeah.
A pretty crazy story that she wanted to do that, and the surgeon was like, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah, sure.
I
As long as
have-
you don't move. Don't move.
Yeah, yeah,
Otherwise
yeah.
it could go totally wrong.
Exactly.
Yes, that's a good point. Yeah. I was just thinking, if I had to undergo brain surgery, I have no talents that I would be able to justify doing that.
Can I still podcast while...
Yeah, exactly. Can I still play PlayStation?
I don't want to lose my voice. I'll just speak and sing throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, just go throughout the whole thing, and then you hear a kind of doctor who's gone under. Well, my weird news is a bit more optimistic than that, but also is related to medical emergencies.
Ah,
That was an optimistic story. That was, that was nice.
Sorry, I meant more optimistic than what I just said about
Oh, right.
dying in brain surgery, but that was a great story. But my story is about video gamers. But it's a nice hopeful story, because I feel like video gamers don't always get good press. When they make the news, they tend to get bad press, don't they?
Anytime some violent crime happens,
Yeah.
it's,
Video games are to blame, or there's sexism, or something like that, Gamergate, whatever it was years ago. Anyway,
slavery.
so a few weeks ago, a teenager in Britain had a seizure in his room, upstairs in the attic, unbeknownst to his parents, who were just downstairs. But he survived because he was playing a video game at the time, and his gamer friend from Texas
Yeah.
heard something was wrong, and called the police.
Oh, wow.
So he called the police from Texas.
He called the UK police from Texas. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow, that's amazing.
So Aidan Jackson, who's just 17, told his friend he felt a little funny and turned his microphone towards his bed so that he could lie down and play, but had a seizure.
Oh,
And Dia Lethera, who's 20, his gamer friend, and was playing with him at the time, heard something wrong and called the police from the US.
Wow. That's also some good thinking as well, because a lot of people would just be like, what to do?
Yeah.
And so did this person, do you know if they had a history of seizures, or is it just a one-off event?
It's unknown. He didn't... he had one previous seizure in a year before, actually.
Yeah.
So it didn't say what's wrong with him, whether it's epilepsy or something like that. I don't know. It could be that they don't know, and this was just the second time it had happened.
Still amazing, even more so, because if you're friends with someone and you know they have a tendency to have seizures, you maybe be a little bit more on guard. Whereas to know that was what was happening, something was actually wrong.
Yeah.
Well done. Credit to him.
That was a good story.
Yeah, that was really cool. And
Uplifting,
it's all and only possible in the modern age, right?
Exactly.
Because his parents were unaware.
To video games.
Thanks to video games.
I'm sure there'll be someone out there who's like, the seizure was probably caused by video games. Shut up.
That's why they've got that warning every time you turn on the console.
He's been playing it for more than 60 minutes without taking a 5-minute break.
Yeah, then you find out it's like, I've been playing for the last 200 hours. Oh, yeah, okay.
Actually, fair enough. Yeah. Oh, good. Nice. Wholesome. What was your favourite story of the week this week? Let us know in the comments below. Find us on Twitter or email us. Whatever.
Or if you're on YouTube, vote in the poll above.
Oh my God, we got so many different options for you.
Too many options.
Too many options.
Yeah. Nice.
Right then. Let's move on to our question of the week. So today's question is from Chris on Twitter, and it's a nice, straightforward question. It's about us getting involved in American politics. Who do we think will win the Democratic nomination for the presidential election in 2020?
And this is so unlike us. We never get involved in politics. We never talk about political stuff at all. So this is really, breaking new ground for us. So I'm excited.
I mean, the one thing you did say is that this is a straightforward question, and I'm not sure that that's quite true when it comes down to the nitty gritty.
The question is simple, but the answer is complicated. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
So who's in the lead at the moment? It's Bernie, isn't it? By quite a lot.
To my surprise, actually. I didn't think he'd get this far this fast.
Do you think he'd be too left for even the most...
Exactly. Because, and I say this with good reason, there was a poll that came out at the beginning of this week. At the time of recording, I should state, we're a day away from the Nevada primaries.
Yes,
caucus.
We're recording on the Friday.
And it's tomorrow, on Saturday, I believe.
Bernie is predicted to win, but we don't know exactly what he got. But at the beginning of this week, there was a national poll in America, which asked people their views on socialism. And over half of Americans, I mean significantly over half, like 60-odd%, said they don't want a socialist president. And when asked specifically about Bernie Sanders, or when broken down by party, you can guess it was something like 80-20 of Republicans didn't want a socialist.
Surprised it's not more.
Yeah, that's not surprised. Yeah. Democrats were much more split, but still quite evenly split. Like it was about 60-40 were in favour of having a socialist. And
again, I think it would probably be lower just because of the people in the US often conflate this idea of socialism with communism.
Absolutely.
And they conflate Bernie Sanders with socialism as well, which I think's a step too far.
Well, it is a step too far, except he identifies himself as a socialist Democrat or a democratic socialist. Yeah. And he's actually labelling himself socialist here, which could hurt his chances.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah.
Except in the nomination, where it seems like he's doing fine.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, we can say all of those stats, which are, equally concerning, but also that people keep changing their expectations for Bernie. Like at one point, his ceiling was going to be 15% of the Democratic voters. Now I think it's 25, pushing 30% of people. And he's also people's second choice in a lot of people who are voting for Biden or more moderate candidates. Bernie still comes in as their second favourite candidate, which is interesting. I think it's also, I think people's stances on whether they would elect a socialist president is also conflicting with how much they like each individual candidate. So
Right.
like they might like Bernie because he's a nice, likable guy, with funny hair. So I think that kind of plays into it a little bit as well.
Yeah, personality politics over his policies
Yeah.
seems to be interesting.
But you're saying that Bernie Sanders has a good personality which appeals to people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. I thought Elizabeth Warren would do a lot better than she's doing. I thought she had a lot of positive press going into it.
She's very, very experienced, isn't she?
Yeah.
In fairness, I think the most recent debate for last night
Yeah.
or the other night definitely would have helped her. Depending on how much that has helped her remains to be seen. But she was definitely, I think most people were saying she was the clear winner with her takedown of Mike Bloomberg.
She's a strong orator as well. Well, the thing with Bloomberg is that he's made a massive target on his head, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
First, just because of the amount of money and influence he has, then the arrogance to not even bother showing up to the earlier debates as well. It's just, he's made a role for his own back, he really has.
Yeah.
I'm kind of confused with what he hopes to achieve because I don't, part of me thinks that I don't think he actually wants to win. I don't think he wants to
Trump,
be president.
probably.
I think he either wants to win the Democratic nomination and then lose to Trump again, or he wants to, I don't know, affect the votes in some way so that Bernie can't win the nomination. I think that's what he definitely doesn't want. He doesn't want
Right.
Bernie to win.
He'd prefer Trump than Bernie.
But how does his
so.
presence hinder Bernie? Sorry, surely it only
exactly.
helps Bernie.
Surely
because
it only does.
Bloomberg will be dividing the moderate vote. Yeah.
In the last debate,
Yeah.
Good point.
it was all about Mike Bloomberg being there, and he
Yeah.
was just kind of taken down. Whereas Bernie, as the front runner, he should have been the target. Whereas he
Yeah.
kind of largely went unscathed in that recent debate.
Just like
He
Joe
kind of got away
Biden was
with
the
it.
target in the first debates
Exactly.
because he was the front runner.
Yeah.
Incidentally, I'm pretty sure Trump's tactic won and Biden's slip in the polls and his failure at the primaries so far is because of all the press that the corruption stuff has got in
Really?
Ukraine.
Yeah.
I think because look at I haven't looked into in detail in terms of matching the dates with the polls, but the popularity of Biden was high. Then the corruption stuff came out, even though it was demonstrably untrue and everybody knows it's true and all the media keeps reporting that it's untrue. They just keep reporting on Trump thinking that he was corrupt, right?
Yes. So the headline still sticks.
Yeah.
Because the headline is a quote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And unless you read whatever it is, what you're getting there is that kind of clickbaity quote as opposed to the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the impeachment has obviously just kept that in the headlines.
Yeah.
So at the very least, it's given Trump the opportunity to keep banging on about how corrupt Biden is, even if he isn't. And the impeachment has been going on at the same time as the primaries and the debates.
Yeah. Do you think Biden's position as vice president previously is actually working against him? Because we were having a discussion about this earlier, and you were rightly saying that a lot of the time the presidency is passed directly from the president to the vice president, as we've seen in numerous times. But because there's been that switch from Obama to a Republican, of course, in Trump, it's almost that break in chain has worked against him. Saying he never was the main man.
Yeah.
He's secondary to Obama, and now Obama's been ousted. Way back when, people are thinking, okay, well, he's maybe not leadership material.
I don't think it's hindered him. I think it was his huge advantage going into this election. Because Obama remains super popular.
Yeah.
Generally, he's got
Possibly more so
really
now than he
really
did when he was president. to be fair.
favorability ratings. Yeah. So I think that's kind of helped people who are maybe don't pay as much attention. They just know, oh yeah, Joe Biden, he's reliable. He'll carry everything on. Before everything slipped into the madness that is the Trump era, he'll be a strong, steady hand. And then I think his whole argument has been that he's the most electable. He's middle ground, following on from that Obama era. But then he's just lost came fourth in
Yes.
the most recent primaries.
Yeah.
So his argument's kind of been undermined by that. And I think that's the main reason why he slipped in the polls, because people are like, oh, they would just expect people who maybe don't watch the debates, don't really pay much attention, but saw the news that oh, he didn't win. What? So I think maybe that's affected his position.
Yeah.
But Mike Bloomberg has, I reckon, his performance in the debate would have helped Biden,
Right.
because I think next to Bloomberg, Biden looks great. He looks fantastic.
I mean, going back to our previous point about you were saying about he was the most electable. potentially, if you look at his kind of fairly moderate, fairly middle-of-the-road democratic policy, whereas when you're talking about personality politics, like with someone like Sanders, you compare the two of them. Well, Biden's had issues with touching female colleagues.
That's true.
He thinks not inappropriately. He just wants to keep his hands to himself. But things like that, as in the Democratic Party, they seemingly mean a lot more than they do in the Republican Party. Like, Trump's obviously had loads of allegations against him. He said lots of things that aren't what you class as politically correct, for better or for worse, depending on your view. But it seems like that is definitely hindering him more, his personality, as opposed to his fairly standard democratic policy.
We've seen this a lot in Britain as well in the past few years with Jeremy Corbyn, the leader of the opposition in our country, who's very, very left-wing. And the supporters, the members of the Labour Party, the majority of them, vast majority, are happy with Jeremy Corbyn and they like him and they like his policies. But the electorate, obviously, he's failed to win 2 elections as leader of the opposition. So clearly he is unelectable, as they say. Yeah. And then we've got, Trump himself. Everyone in the party, everyone in the establishment, everyone who's a general voter was saying, oh, Trump, he's unelectable, he's awful. But the Republican Party members loved him. Obviously, they chose him.
Yeah. They care about winning the election more than who's at the top of the table.
Yeah. Do you think that's something that America maybe should be wary of, like with Bernie Sanders? There's numerous comparisons you can draw with Bernie and Jeremy Corbyn in that he may win a lot of... end up winning the nomination, but can he really unite the Democratic Party? Because you said like a number of people wouldn't vote for a socialist, and he's identified himself as that. He's painted that target on himself. Do you think there's similarities with that and Corbyn? Like a lot of people thought he was far too left-wing, far too, offering people so much, and ultimately his message just kind of didn't get through to people. Yeah. Do you think that's something that could happen again in the US?
Absolutely, because I think the irony is that Bernie's policies will most help the people who vote for Trump. The vast majority of Trump voters are those working class individuals and Bernie's policies are targeted at helping those people. So in theory, it's like, he can win those votes back. But those people who vote for Trump, I think there is at least it's a stereotype. They don't like socialism. Even though socialism is the stuff that helps them, or rather, what are perceived as socialist policies help them. So they're probably, I would suspect, if Bernie becomes a nominee and he runs for president, the people who voted for Trump will be more galvanized to vote for Trump. Yeah. Because even if they don't want to vote for Trump, Bernie's the extreme opposite. And what they want is different, but not the opposite.
That's what you found in the UK with Corbyn. A lot of people said, well, I've supported the Labour Party, but the media has portrayed Corbyn to be this way. He's portrayed him to be really, really far left. Some of his policies I don't agree with. And it's been, and in the news, it's been inflated to be something that maybe it wasn't. Yep. And so there's almost this fear that, okay, well, better the devil we know who's been in office for 4 years as opposed to the unknown who could cause the Red Scare Part 2.
Yeah. On the flip side, as a counterpoint to that, I would say that Bernie, on a personality level, like personality politics, I think he comes across a bit better than Corbyn does.
That's true.
He's better at debating. Yeah. He's definitely better at like giving speeches and you can see by the crowds that he is able to draw. Like he's definitely able. He describes it as a revolution in this movement, and he's got the best ground game out of any of the other candidates. Like he's got more volunteers and more individual donators than any other candidate.
Yeah, he's got more money as well. Yeah. At the beginning of February, he had $17 million in the bank, whereas Buttigieg, how do you say his name?
Buttigieg,
who was the possible winner of the Iowa caucus. He's
got the most amount of delegates. In fairness, we haven't even spoken
22, right? To 21? 21 to 22 to 21?
This is pre-Nevada.
Pre-Nevada,
That will change.
At the beginning of February, he had about $1 million left in his coffers. And Sanders started February with 17 million. Yeah. And I think at this point, once you start getting delegates, it's all about who has the most money, right?
Yeah, that was the thing with him and Klobuchar. Is that how you pronounce it?
Klobuchar, I think.
Klobuchar.
Yeah.
They invested a lot of their resources and money in these first two primaries, and they did surprisingly well, especially Pete. But yeah, he's now...
Sorry, Pete.
Especially
Pete, yeah.
Peter Buttigieg. He's done surprisingly well, and that has definitely given him a notable bump in just name recognition.
Exactly.
But now he's kind of got depleted resources and is desperately trying to raise money quickly.
So what do we think? Do we think that overall then it seems like Bernie may win out? But what are his actual chances?
Oh.
Well, yeah, I think Bernie definitely has the best odds at the moment of winning. I think there's different situations that could happen. If he wins the most amount of delegates, but then it becomes a brokered convention, and then the DNC, because then they send out then they have super delegates. I'm not 100% sure how it works.
Yeah.
But they could ultimately choose someone else at that point.
Yeah.
In a brokered convention. If that happens, I think they may as well just hand another 4 more years to Trump, because that's exactly what happened in 2016.
It's completely fractured. Yeah.
People will say like the nomination's been stolen from Bernie, which it kind of would have been at that point.
Yeah.
Or alternatively, if he does win the nomination, then there's the whole question of would people vote for a socialist? And then also you've got a report that came out this week saying that Russia is trying to help Trump get re-elected.
Of course it was. Yeah.
Of course it was. But yeah, I mean, the other issue is complicated because even though we've made those comparisons to Corbyn, the other thing with Bernie is that people voted for Trump because they didn't want a establishment candidate.
That's true.
And
yes.
Bernie is seen as an anti-establishment candidate, much like Trump.
That's true.
So many people might vote for Bernie who did vote for Trump because, the one thing they didn't want was Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
And if they get someone who's not like her, then...
But then the ticket really matters, right?
Yeah.
For example, if Bernie were to pick Elizabeth Warren as his running mate, as his VP candidate, he'd lose.
I think so, yeah.
You got the
two
dreaded...
progressives.
Yeah, the two progressives, very socialist, and a woman as your VP, who's also establishment. It's just gonna... Yeah, he'd lose. But then who else can he pick? Really? Because if he picks... I don't know, who else would he pick? If he picked Pete Buttigieg, however you say his name, would that go down well with the voters?
It could do. I don't think it would have as much of an impact because I don't think he's as well recognised as other people.
Yeah.
I generally don't know who would be his best VP pick.
It's a difficult one.
I think he said before that he doesn't want to pick like a white man. He wants to pick... I think he wants to pick a female as his running mate. I don't know. Klobuchar, maybe.
Yeah, she's quite good, actually.
But I think what would be more important for him would be to maybe announce other people who he would put into other roles now. I think that's a bit unconventional. But if he was to get the nomination, I think he needs to get Andrew Yang in there somewhere. People would love that. Seriously, I think that'd be a smart move.
SNL would love it, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens there. That would be an unprecedented move, completely, wouldn't it? I mean, at the same time, I think it would help people to have a bit of a more of a rounded idea, and hopefully, he could pick and choose people who would fill the certain criteria that we know the electorate want. So you want someone who's a maverick, you want someone who's a safe pair of hands. You want, It's like it seems like if it was if you're just running it based on Sanders' personality.
Yeah.
When it comes down to election time, it splits the vote too much. I think if people choose between someone who's been there for 4 years, someone like Trump, who's also a maverick, you get maverick Republican voters and pretty much all Republican voters voting for Trump. Then of course the Democratic electorate would be completely split, and so you're left. And
don't forget the independents as well, who also in the latest poll strongly favoured a non-socialist.
Yeah.
In principle, obviously. It was divorced from personality, but it was something like a 75-25 split in the independents, and they're the ones who you need, right? I would assume you need those. But then again, having said all this, let's not forget Trump barely won the last election. So even if you got exactly the same number of votes, if the Democrats could get those swing states,
That's true.
It's a big if, though, right?
And
it
again,
is
a big if.
Yeah.
Bernie does have a very strong ground game. That's
Yeah.
his one advantage. I'm kind of going. I'm assuming when this podcast goes out, I'm basing my assumption on the fact that Bernie won Nevada.
Yeah.
Seems likely.
It seems likely. Whether he wins South Carolina, I think Biden's leading the polls at the moment in that, but he might have got a big bump from Nevada and might win that one as well. And then Super Tuesday, if he wins a lot of places there.
I know how commercial that sounds. Super Tuesday.
Super Tuesday.
Black
Welcome
Friday.
to Super
Yeah.
Bowl.
Yeah.
I think he's definitely the most likely to take the nomination.
All right then.
Okay.
Shall we cheer ourselves up with a quiz?
Oh, yes.
So, welcome to the weekly quiz. As always, 10 questions with a bonus question. And currently in the leaderboard, I believe Martin is leading with leading
no,
Alex.
you're leading.
Well, okay,
You're leading.
okay.
You've
I'm
won
leading.
100%
He
of
brings
matches.
it up.
All right.
He brings it up because he knows he's leading.
No, I just want to enjoy it while it lasts.
Is it Martin?
No.
Let's just check.
Okay. Anyway, Martin is leading Alex in the leaderboard. I'll say that.
Yeah, I
So-
haven't won any. Why are you doing this?
No pressure,
This
Alex.
is not part of the
you
quiz.
got to win. But first, before I ask any questions at all, buzzers.
So I've gone for a classic Drunk Orson Welles.
Champagne has always been celebrated for its
That's excellent.
excellence. There is a California champagne by Paul Masson.
Very good.
Classic.
And I've gone for something slightly more obscure from the classic British comedy Phoenix Nights,
Uh-huh.
where a psychic comes in and tells someone what he's thinking.
I'm getting the word. Nuts.
Anyone who hasn't seen Phoenix Nights,
Oh, dear.
watch it. It's
I love
good.
the anticipation that was leading up to that.
I'm getting the word. All right, then. Fingers on buzzers.
Okay.
Question number 1. Put your human anatomy hats on.
Oh,
Which...
Sounds like some kind of a...
That sounds a bit gross, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well. Which organ in the human body produces insulin?
California champagne by Paul Masson.
Oh, man, I don't know. That was
do that at the same time.
simultaneous.
Go for it. Go for it.
Why that? You know, I don't need the advantage. Yes, I do. It's the pancreas.
It is the pancreas. Well done. Were you going to say
Yes.
pancreas? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, well, next time it's razor thin like that.
All right, then.
can take
Hey,
it.
thank you.
Have a-
That sounds good.
1-0 to Alex. Question number 2.
Or shall we just both get the point? We both got it. We both knew
You
the
both
answer.
have it if you like. Yeah. It was simultaneous. So, yeah.
Okay.
1-1.
Okay.
1-1. Question number 2. In a standard deck of 52 playing cards, there are 4 kings. 3 of them have moustaches. 1 of them doesn't.
California champagne by Paul Masson.
So we say it at the same time.
Yeah, say it at the same time.
3, 2, 1. Hearts.
King spades, I was going to say.
Oh.
Okay, it is hearts.
Oh, damn.
Correct, Martin. Well done.
I don't know why I thought spades. I just thought he was a clean shaven.
To be honest, I couldn't tell you. You just know that, do you?
Yes.
Yeah. Good knowledge.
Thank you.
Yeah. So 2-1 to Martin. Question number 3. Definitely a fastest first, I think. Who is older, Brad Pitt or Russell Crowe?
I'm getting the word. There is a California champagne by
I think it was Martin.
Okay, mine did play instantly, but it was just not. It wasn't saying
You see-
anything awesome.
I think the misconception would be that it's Crow. So because he lives well. I'm going to go for Pitt.
Okay. I'll give you a guess too, Alex, since you were so close. I just want to hear. I want to hear what you say.
Gonna go for Russell Crowe.
It is Brad Pitt. Yeah.
See, because you said that, I mean that was going to be Martin's point anyway, right? Like
Probably. Yeah.
there was the only
Did you go
possibility.
for it as a... What would you have gone for when you buzzed it?
Well, if I'd said Brad Pitt in that instance,
Yeah.
Martin still would have got the point, right? Because he buzzed him first.
Yeah. What would you have said if you had buzzed?
Yeah.
I probably would have said Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt's 56. Russell Crowe is 55.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could kind of see it in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think.
Yeah,
He
he's
had aged
beginning
quite
to
well.
show it,
Yeah.
but he's still like aging very well, I'd say. Yeah. Okay, question number 4, and it is 3-1 to
How is
Martin.
it already 3-1 to Martin? It's so unfair.
For which animal is the collective noun a shrewdness? Shrewdness.
Shrewdness.
Yeah. Which animal?
Inspired by that same French excellent.
Yes.
Is it prawns or in America shrimp? Shrewdness of
No,
shrimp.
but I get it. Yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it?
Nice. Which animal? I'm going to go for...
Getting the word. Nonce.
I mean, just a guess. I'm going to go for moles.
No. I'll give you a clue. Well, they are mammals. That's a clue.
Is that the clue?
That's the first clue. Yeah, I'll give you another clue.
By poor Masson.
Ferrets.
No.
They're a bit shrewd.
Nonce.
I should have picked another buzzer, shouldn't I? No, I love it. Dolphins.
No. Although, good thinking.
Do you know what? Actually, that annoys me because I swear one of my questions was in a previous quiz was what's the collective noun of dolphins?
We should
And what was
remember
it?
this.
It's a pod, I believe.
Dolphins. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Or I'm wrong.
No, that's
I'm
right.
just
Yeah,
embarrassing
right.
No, I
myself.
think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a whale.
I'll give you
Whales
a
as well?
massive
Whales
clue
as
now.
well.
Massive
Okay.
clue. In
Okay.
science fiction,
Oh.
there is a planet of them.
What's this? What?
This is a massive clue.
This is a fictional animal.
No, this is a real animal, but in science fiction, there is a planet of them.
Getting the word. Nonce.
Bears.
No. I'm not sure. No.
I'm thinking of Wookiees.
I was thinking Wookiees too. I was thinking
see.
Ewoks.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
I was thinking Ewoks, and I was like, what's the closest to that?
That's the wrong franchise.
Oh, okay.
See.
Yeah.
I don't know what franchise this is
You
then.
can go Trek.
This is track. I'm
I
not
give you
familiar.
another clue, or do you want to have a quick guess before
okay,
yeah.
There is a California champagne.
Lions.
No.
Oh, that'd be cool though. wouldn't it?
It would be cool. They're not too far from us.
Champagne by poor Masson.
Yes, Alex.
Apes.
Is the
Oh,
correct
nice.
answer.
Planet of
Yes,
Apes.
Planet of
Nice,
Apes.
nice. Yeah, very
Phew,
good.
that makes.
What
that
was
makes
it? Was it
sense.
Shrewdness.
Shrewdness.
Yes. I mean, interesting origin. The word shrewdness originally means something more like mischievous.
Okay.
So like
Cool.
monkey business.
Yeah, yeah.
That kind of tone. So they thought monkeys and apes, were mischievous, but they called them shrewdness. But of course now that we know apes are more intelligent, calling them shrewd is the meaning has changed a bit, but it still kind of applies.
Still works.
I quite like, yeah. So
Cool,
I
very
believe
good.
that is 3-2.
3-2.
3-2 to
Coming
Martin.
back.
Oh, yes. We're only on
Right, question number 5.
Five.
Question
Oh,
number 5.
Ages to go.
About which flowers did William Wordsworth write a famous poem?
Champagne by poor Masson.
I think that's Martin. Yeah.
I don't actually know, but I'm going to go. I'm going to go for tulips.
No.
Daffodils.
It is daffodils. Yes. I wandered lonely as a cloud.
It's about
Until something,
daffodils.
something, something daffodils. Yeah.
Everyone knows the first line. I don't know the rest of it.
Exactly. All right, then. 3-all. Going into question 6. This is exciting.
Why do I go for tulips? The Dutch.
When
Silly.
was the first transatlantic flight? Closest wins. When was the first transatlantic flight?
Oh, goodness.
It's going to be quite. Oh, I don't know.
Oh, it's a really tough one. Okay, so that's
yeah,
that
I'm
one.
trying to think.
Okay, I'm going to go for.
I'm not very good with aviation.
I can't fly a plane.
Yeah.
Shall I go first?
Champagne by poor Masson.
Is it closest wins?
Yeah, closest wins. Yeah.
1925.
Okay.
Okay, I've got to change mine now.
Oh, what was I going to say?
It's just, that's a nice round number. I'm going to. So.
Why did I go first if it was closest wins?
Oh, God.
That's the first time I think you've gone first.
See, I was
It's
thinking-
closest wins.
So I was thinking it was close to that, so I'm going to go slightly later. I'm going to go for 1928.
Okay, Alex is closer.
Okay.
It is 1919,
Fair enough.
just after the First World War.
Nice.
So that's 4-3 to Alex, I think.
Don't choke.
Don't choke now.
Question number 7. Oh, this is a tough one. I'm sorry. By what name is Michael Ebenezer Quadro Omari Owuo Jr. better known?
Getting the word.
Is it El Chapo?
No.
What's his name again? Could you please repeat it?
And he's in a sentence?
Michael Ebenezer Quadjo Amari Awuo Jr. I apologise to anybody who knows how to pronounce that properly.
What was his first name?
Michael.
Michael. I've got an idea now.
What's he better known as?
Michael. Okay. Michael. Just Michael.
Just Michael, yeah. People call him Mike all the time. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Don't even know where to guess.
By Paul Masson.
Yep.
Pablo Escobar. I don't
No.
I don't know.
Do you have a clue?
Yeah, I'll give a clue. He's big in the rap world.
He's big in the rap.
He is
world.
big. Right?
Yeah,
Michael?
he's a rapper.
What's his name?
Ebenezer.
Michael Ebenezer Quadjo Amari Awuo Jr.
Is he like really famous?
He's pretty famous, yeah.
He's alive as well, yeah.
Yeah, he's also alive. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a living rapper
A living rapper.
who is famous.
Let's go for.
I'm getting the word. Nuts.
I'm going for Stormzy.
Spot on. It is Stormzy. Yeah, well done. So that's what.
That was going to be my guess as
Of
well.
course, I know my rap music very well.
Where are we? Four all. Yeah.
Blimey.
Going to question 8. Question 8. Fingers on buzzers. True or false?
Should we do it at the same time?
Actually, that's a better idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. True or false? Squash is an Olympic sport.
Oh, it's always which one of these
So I'm going to count from 3. 3.
is well currently is.
Yeah. Is the verb. Yeah.
Is it currently? Okay.
Squash is an Olympic sport. True or false? 3, 2, 1.
False.
You're both right.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah. It's never been an Olympic sport, apparently. So it's 5-all. Going into question 9. I don't believe this.
Highest point total. We
I
actually
know,
got
this is
that.
crazy.
Yeah.
Where is the world's longest suspension bridge?
Oh my goodness. Where is the world? What country?
Yeah, country. Yeah.
Okay.
California champagne pipe.
I don't know. Denmark?
No.
I don't know why I thought that.
A niche choice.
I'm gonna go for China.
No. I don't know if I can
Oh, the French champagne is on.
The United States of America.
No. Martin, you got another guess?
So it's going to be over was it France?
No. Okay.
There's one of like the wine valley, isn't there? In France.
Right, yeah. That's probably pretty long, but it's not the longest one. This is quite recent, actually,
Okay.
a couple of years ago. So I'll give you a clue, and it is a nation of islands, I'll say that.
Champagne by Paul Masson.
No.
Is it in the UK?
No.
Oh.
Why would we have the longest suspension bridge?
I don't know, Robin. I was just thinking
Oh.
of the Clifton Suspension Bridge.
Islands. Right. Could it be? Oh, could it be Indonesia?
No. I'll give you another clue, because I think that clue is a bit misleading.
Okay.
Martin has been closest with 2 of his answers in the right region of the world.
He said France. He said Indonesia. What
Okay.
else did you say? This isn't fair. He's got
Aha.
an unfair
It's going to be.
advantage.
It's going to be.
No.
Japan.
It is Japan. I'm sorry, Alex. It is Japan. Well done. The Akashi Kaikyo Bridge, which is 1,991 meters long and has 6 lanes. So it's pretty wide too. Yeah.
Wow.
Big one.
Wow.
So that's 6-5 to Martin. Going into the final question. Question number 10. What nationality was the artist Hieronymus Bosch?
The word
Bosch. It's about Bosch.
nuts.
Argentinian.
No.
There is a California champagne.
German.
No.
Dutch.
Yes. Well done, yeah. Dutch painter.
I went Argentinian just because there's a couple of Argentinian people, sports people that have surnames Bosch.
Oh, right. Okay.
Interesting.
Some European
Well,
settlers, I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's 7-5 to Martin. That was tight. That was tight.
That was very close to the end.
One day I'll win a quiz.
I will shake your hand, Alex, because it was very close.
Yeah, the
It was very
leaderboard
close.
doesn't reflect how
No,
close that was.
it really
That's a
doesn't.
shame, yeah.
That's a
But,
shame. Maybe I'll put something in and say Alex nearly won this.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
can add another category, add like points total maybe.
Don't know.
That
It's
seems
fine.
meaningless,
It's
but-
fine. Don't worry about it. It's okay.
Okay. Bonus question?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Why not? Why not?
It's a tough one.
Doesn't matter now anyway, does
Tough
it?
one. So, Kronos is the ancient Greek personification of what?
And it's always been celebrated for its sex.
Kronos was a titan, right? And
Yes.
You do
chaos. Is it chaos?
No.
You do like your ancient Greeks. Don't you?
I can't remember. Okay.
A personification of, so it has to be a personification of.
The clue's in the name.
There
Was
is a
it
California.
Kronos.
Kronos?
Kronos, yeah.
Time.
Is that your answer?
Can I have another guess?
Yeah, go for it.
Is it time?
Yes.
very
It is
good.
time, yeah. As in chronology.
Yes.
Chronometer,
Yeah.
aka a watch. Yeah. So well done. That was the quiz.
Very good.
Why
Cool.
couldn't you put the bonus question?
Doesn't
in the
matter,
actual
does it?
quiz?
I genuinely thought it would be too difficult. I'm sorry. Should have swapped it for Brad Pitt and Russell Crowe.
Trouble would have guessed anyway. But that's fine. It's cool.
There we go.
Okay.
I gave you that point right at the beginning, didn't I?
You did, yeah.
I did. Yeah.
Gave him a 2-point lead.
Good.
Well done.
Good stuff.
All right then. Well, you listening at home or watching us on YouTube, please let us know your scores either in the comments on YouTube or via a tweet to @alltimerobin
At Alex Brown ATC.
At all time, Martin.
or @jinterestingyt.
You got it.
Yes, I
Very
got it
good.
this time. And thank you always, for listening and for making it this far. Congratulations. And if you want to subscribe to us on Patreon for just $1,
$1 is just a support.
$1
$3
support.
gets you everything.
everything. We'll be recording a special Patreon exclusive podcast right after this about Canada's, I was going to say Canada then. Canada's, worst nuclear disaster.
Oh.
Interesting.
Well, see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.